When discussing climate change and the evidence of climate change, one of the biggest replies is that there is no overall scientific consensus that humans are causing climate change. This is not true. According to several to a wide array of consensus studies, over 97% of climatologists believe that man is the biggest cause of the massive increases in climate change. And also, interestingly, the fact when you look at the actual side at the actual makeup of the climatologists, they found that the greater the experience they had, the more likely they were to state that the causes of climate change are man-made. It sounds like a pretty strong consensus to me. And of course, like I mentioned before, these are the people we need to be listening to. How do these climatologists know that climate change is happening and that humans are causing it? Well, one of the main ways we can observe the greenhouse gas effect is through satellite imagery, and we can compare the amount of solar radiation that the Earth receives and the amount of solar radiation that is reflected back, and we can see that since the 1990s that the amount of solar radiation reflected has decreased dramatically, despite the fact that the amount of solar radiation received from the sun is significantly higher. And of course, massive increases in temperature have been observed. 18 of the 19 hottest years ever recorded were were happened since 2001, and we know that and of course the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has increased, and we can know this from from observing glaciers, because glaciers trap air bubbles in their ice, and because we know which areas of the glacier were formed earlier, and which areas of the gla of the glaciers were formed later, then we can know which part what the makeup of the atmosphere has been over the course of human history. And we know from these observations that the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has increased exponentially, and has been on the rise since the Industrial Revolution. We know and we also know that dioxide is a greenhouse gas, because because in a laboratory setting it emits and absorbs radiation energy at specific wavelengths, and the wavelength and the range of wavelengths that it absorbs directly coincide with the ranges of solar radiation that we receive from the sun. So of course, more more carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere inevitably will result in a great deal more solar radiation being absorbed, and like I've said verbatim several times, that will result in an increase in the global temperature. And we know, and we can also through a technique called spectroscopy, we can also work out how much solar radiation carbon dioxide absorbs specifically. And when compared to other greenhouse gases such as methane, carbon dioxide absorbs a significant higher amount of solar radiation. So, in other words, carbon dioxide specifically is the biggest culprit to climate change, and all the and so and a massive increase in carbon emissions, the highest in human history, is something to greatly be alarmed about.